Welcome to the Beau Show. The Supreme Court was rocked this week when a potential draft of an upcoming opinion on a case that would overturn the landmark Roe v. Wade decision was leaked to Politico. In the initial report by Politico on May 3rd, the opening paragraph reads, quote, "The Supreme Court has voted to strike down the landmark Roe v. Wade decision according to an initial draft majority opinion written by Justice Samuel Alito circulated inside the court and obtained by Politico," unquote. Politico doesn't say how the opinion was obtained or who leaked it, but they sure didn't mind publishing it. In this purported draft by Alito, he writes, quote, "We hold that Roe and Casey must be overruled. Roe was egregiously wrong from the start. It is time to heed the Constitution and return the issue of abortion to the people's elected representatives," unquote. This is labeled as the opinion of the court, meaning it would be a majority opinion, and become the law of the land. Now, before I go any further, I cannot overstate how cavalierly Politico published this without any consideration of the breach of trust this caused. The article states, quote, "The draft opinion offers an extraordinary window into the justice's deliberations in one of the most consequential cases before the court in the last 5 decades," unquote. Yeah, I would say so. An extraordinary window. But how and why? They never answer. The article mentions a person familiar with the court's deliberations said that 4 justices had conferenced with Justice Alito and joined him. Now, who is this quote-unquote person familiar with their deliberations? They claim this person even knew that Sotomayor, Kagan, and Breyer have been working on dissenting opinions. This person seems to know an awful lot. Why would a person do such a thing? On Tuesday, after the article was published, Chief Justice John Roberts confirmed the authenticity of the draft and ordered an investigation into the leak. So not only is the draft authentic, but Politico's source knew that it was, which placed him or her right at the source of SCOTUS. At the very end of the article, Politico writes, quote, "Politico received a copy of the draft opinion from a person familiar with the court's proceedings in the Mississippi case, along with other details supporting the authenticity of the document," unquote. By authenticating it, it seems to also authenticate the leaker, which means that unless there was some sort of hack, this is someone very intimately connected to the court. Perhaps not a justice, but maybe a law clerk or a secretary or someone like that. And what would be the motive of such a person? Why would anyone want to leak this draft? Could it be to stir people up and create a new Saul Alinsky-like crisis that won't go to waste? Is it to woke up the leftist in time for the midterms? Is it to sway undecideds to get out the vote? Is it to spurn women? We don't really know this information, but it seems unlikely that a conservative would want to leak it. The motive isn't that compelling. Maybe you could have some overzealous secretary wanting to tip everyone off as to what's to come, I suppose, but to me, this seems like something someone far more nefarious would do, especially since the publisher was Politico, not Fox News or the Wall Street Journal. Listen to what Senator Ted Cruz told Brian Kilmeade of Fox about the consequence of the leak.
What we saw with this leak from the Supreme Court, it's the culmination of a multi-year campaign by the Democrats to politicize the courts, to politicize the justice system, to weaponize it, to attack the Supreme Court. You opened the show by showing the rioting both with regard to this leaked opinion and also the entire year of Black Lives Matter and Antifa riots. The left is bound and determined to tear down the institutions of our country, to destroy the Senate, where they want to end the filibuster and blow it all up, or to destroy the Supreme Court. You know, Chuck Schumer stood on the steps of the Supreme Court, called out two justices by name, and he said, "If you don't vote the way I want, you will reap the whirlwind." He threatened them. And we have seen this. Look, it is difficult to overstate how destructive it is to the Supreme Court, to the independence of the judiciary, to the integrity of the court, to have a draft opinion leaked during the process of deciding the case. In over 200 years of our nation's history, that has never happened, and there was one woke little left-wing twit who decided to hell with his or her obligations to the justice they work for, to hell with their obligations to the court, to hell with their obligations to the rule of law, that they would instead try to sneak it out in order to put political pressure on the justices and intimidate them into changing their votes. It is shameful. And look, I'm glad that Whoopi is back on TV after having to step off for a while for her anti-Semitic comments. But you know, maybe she should recognize that destroying the Supreme Court and the rule of law, that's not nothing. That actually is what protects our liberty in this country. But today's left doesn't believe in individual liberty.
And when it comes to narrowing down whom the leaker could be, Cruz also has some ideas.
I think we have a very good chance of finding out who it is. If you look at the court, it's actually a very limited universe of people who it could be. The only people that have access to the opinions are the 9 justices and their law clerks. Each justice has 4 clerks, so that's 36 law clerks. And there are a handful of clerical assistants and secretaries who might have it. I think the chances are 0 that it is a justice. I cannot believe any justice would be part to such a grave betrayal of the institution. I think it is a law clerk, and I think it is very likely a law clerk for one of the 3 liberal justices. That means there are 12 likely suspects. And listen, the fact that we have someone willing to be unethical and break the law does not mean that we've got a master criminal at the court. I think they're going to have left a paper trail. There are going to be emails or texts with the reporters. We're going to find this person, and when they're found, they're going to be fired off on the spot. They will be disbarred if they're members of the bar, or they will never be admitted to the bar to be a lawyer. And to the extent they've broken criminal laws, they need to be prosecuted and sent to jail.
Now, remember, the wokies over on The View are not concerned at all about who the leaker is at all. Whoopi, Joy Behar, Sunny Hostin, they don't give a damn.
A lot of Republicans are pearl clutching.
Yeah.
They seem to be much less concerned about what the document says about taking a woman's rights away and more focused on who leaked it.
I'm so much less concerned with who leaked this than what was in the leak. And I think Republicans and conservatives have been working for 50 years for this. And now they're playing victim. Now they're crying out, who leaked it? Who leaked it? This is what they have wanted. And I think our reaction needs to be, who cares about who leaked it? We care about what was leaked. The Supreme Court is politicized.
If any producers of The View want an actual conservative to come on the show to debate these folks who knows what a filibuster is, I'd welcome the opportunity. Give me a shout. Come on, man. See, none of them care about the leak. But here's why they should care. Just as Senator Cruz pointed out, when you politicize a government bureau, like we have seen with the FBI and the DHS, and even the Justice Department, you undermine the ability of those institutions to be impartial and to do their jobs. Chuck Schumer openly threatened the court. So when a draft of a major decision is leaked, its intent would be to target Justices Alito and anyone who sides with him. And after all, Brett Kavanaugh would be one of the majority if it holds true. And we all saw what the Democrats tried to do to his character, but they did not prevail. And you know that they have to be apoplectic that Kavanaugh is a deciding vote in this case. So liberals don't care who leaked it. And they don't care because they don't understand the breach of trust that it creates. The Supreme Court is based on careful deliberation and legal constitutional foundation. When a draft is leaked to the public, it creates the fecal storm you're witnessing right now. And I have to think that that's entirely intentional. Cruz thinks that it's a woke leftist twit, and he's probably right. It may be one of about a dozen people, and I think they will get to the bottom of who it is. But it is amazing how so few on the left care about the leak or the leaker. You may remember in Donald Trump's presidency, there was an abundance of leaks, which undermined a lot of what Trump was trying to do. And it took Trump a while to drain his own cabinet of establishment people who wanted to undermine Trump, the never Trumpers. You probably recall the infamous anonymous letter penned in the New York Times who said he or she was part of the resistance. It's the same spirit here. This is likely someone who doesn't like the majority decision and wants to leak it out so that perhaps the public can intimidate the justices into changing their votes. To that end, the draft's author, Justice Samuel Alito, canceled an appearance this past Thursday as a result. And left-wing activist groups under the moniker Ruth Sent Us have published the alleged home addresses of Justices Alito, Thomas, Barrett, Kavanaugh, Roberts, and Gorsuch. The group's website reads, quote, "We must rise up to force accountability using a diversity of tactics," unquote. The DC police has even erected a fence around the Supreme Court as it expects to see more demonstrations now. But can you believe this? These left-wing activists are publishing the home addresses of Supreme Court justices. That's exactly what the leaker wanted. I would think, you can't overstate the uproar that this has caused, and also another attack on our institutions from within.